Banzarangar Padma Sadarda Ahum 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 Banzarangar Padma Sadarda Banjarangar Padma Sadardo Ahom 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 Banjarangar Padma Sadardo ahum banjarangara 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 padma sadardo ahum Banjarangar Padma Sadarda Ahom 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 Banjarangar Padma Sadarda banzaranger padmasadarda ahum 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 banzaranger padmasadarda Banzarangara Padma Sadarda Ahom 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 Banzarangara Padma Sadarda ahum banjarangara padmasadarda 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 ahum banjarangara Padma Sadarda 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 Ahom Banjarangara Padma Sadardo 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 Ahom Banjarangara Padma Sadardo
Om Sambara Sambara Bamana Saramaha Zambaba Humbala Zoha Om Sambara Sambara Bamana Saramaha Zambaba Humbala Zoha Om Sambara Sambara Bamana Saramaha Zambaba Humbala Zoha Om Nachadanam Ram Janandra Babjib Jobji Jana Jibaya Sarje Juda Gimdana Baba Zokan Lab Sham Salat Jagab Tashi Shod Me Jarab Salatan Tundur Gomashamba Jan Wala Geta Wala Damba Kan La Gomba Jachira Jagpa Janan Hambur Taramba Zatra Wala Dana Simchanan Tamja Largon Jagba Wala Yetsaman Zarpa Zarabata Wala Dim Sansaman Tubi Tashi Walam Hirava Devara Shagba Jala Sham Zalalom Jam Wala Jon Wardana Durjim Zanab Sherez Wam Gombo Shambo Wala Saye Nyambo Japanam Berezadanam Ki Nyambo Pamchaka Gandab Zan Apala Durji Parkarala Shandan Orva Dawa Radanya Maya Shamsanan Laganam Jashi Warajim Job Shanchavu Senwa Jala Sham Zalalor and Janadim Jo Tashi Sirjanyam Dom Jom Zan Yel on Kamalan and Jagadon Panzo Walavi Manaba Jaram Zana Wam Jaram Korolor State and Chinan Takam Chakab Jarajib Sham Zanam Janam Shakatib Jarab Chacham Deep Jadama Garsong or Jambi Walabi Love Jashil Ham Jalab Sham Zalalo Samba Chimbo Dim John Til Mil of Merton Danda Jalabu Yanam Koroston Pakje Bodala Wamim Zanam Tuchi Harzim Korolo Dan Chashala Dam Don Durji Janamba Warala Churton Jamsanam Zanas Hasamani Zagela Dashi Bilanjitana Jo Tangdar Shava Zumba Laga Tangani Varseva Kanjanin Dotuna Walim Hila Samtuna Yipjan and Trashib de Lega Pansam Soiber Shanakanta Lami Yavjalan Chava Rurmojan and Chanjalazin Abza So Gypsy Jalavi Mulam Liv Jomi Kanamzan Chula Burton and James Jerajan Namora Nataya Namu Bangavatim Bandar Saratamatan Tangataya Arahati samyak sampataya tariyata banjir banjir maha banjir maha tenjam banjir maha biya banjir maha putu satam banjir maha putu mandu pasang mana banjir sarva karma warana bisudana banjir suana murana jaya namo bangawati banjir sarata mardana tatanggataya Arahati samyak sampataya tariyata banjir banjir maha tenjam banjir maha biya banjir maha putu satam banjir maha putu mandu pasang mana banjir sarva karma warana bisudana banjir Namo Rana Jaya Namo Bangawati Bandar Sarada Mardana Tathangataya Arahati Samyak Sampataya Tarayata Banjir Banjir Mahabandar Mahatin Bandar Mahabaya Bandar Mahabuddha Satam Bandar Bandar Sarva Karma Warana Bijudana Banjir Malisim Jana Gananje Gunam Jirja Dalade Gunji Man Zadam Jam Zadalangunam Malim Jab Janam Chenan Jirapa Jamadanam Kurunji Nindar Shasoi Zulay Datam Dola Dib Zim Shir Yala Jizam Charam Tayina Chitam Chula Bab Dagab Jadaba Tehtadim Chumadan Jisai Zulun Pagbam Jam Hulajun Rikirpala Psham Salalo Janyala Satakam Shokji Jitinana Tisama Shakbama Yasangikan Dakima Lete Takatam Jadala Litang Yala Web Shakabjo Zambu Shurba Mulamat of Dagi Jaravatam Jada Yala Jem Samanda Shanga Dalanyala Lera Tarpai Jaravakan Ratab Sham Salalo Darchitana Darnyala Sarjinama Sarji Tike Winam Jipataka Tetara Chuchianam Malipa Tamchada Jalava Taki Kavaramo Tetagam Yarpa Mazala Jamsona Mayanti and Laga Jamsu Dakananji Jalava Kanje Yundan Rabjuda Jam Devara Sharpa Tamchala Daki to the Metogatamba Choa Tamba Dan Saranyanam Dam Shipa Dim Chogata Maramim Chotang of the Putambai Jalava Tetagalanam Chuparabja Nabza Tamba Nam Dam Chum Dam Shiman Paramaram Yambata Kodapa Jalaparam Pagpam Chokanji Jaravate Tagalanam Chaparabja Chapaganam Lamila Jachiva Zambo Shula Talput of Tagaki Jarava Kanam Sham Salam Chaparabja Dolcha Zerdan Wangina Litang Tantip Janayachi Digpab the Cape Jipam Chimshipa Tetagatam Jalab the case of Surupshak Shokji Jarava Kanda Sanji Ranjidanam Dam Love Dam Love Dam Doa Kan James Namakan Layan Tetagakanji Jisab Dagayera Kanam Shokjim Jitin Manam Shanchivaram Barasanji Machavni Gombo Tetagab the King Tamchadam Korlov Lana Milpam Korvarakal Yanganam Datana Kamjala Tetagalam Do I can lap ham Jean Devashir Kalpajanga Dananyalabji Parayam the game Talmor Abjir of Survarabja Shamsalavatam Chutjam Shapata Jisay Rav Kalajan Suravaya Hiva Chonzal of the King of Sagapa Tamchalab the Kim Shanchivab Sham Chanam Jipa Sanji Jam Dandi Tamchalat Sabchalani Perjan Jibzin Wazin Wachimbunam Lama Durjim Zamba Chimbunam Daglar Gonsa Shanchib Yamburum Jiji Wara Sanji Namla Jabsumch Chudam Shanchib Wire Sola Antibjana Jabsumch Shanchib Yamburum Jiji Wara Sanji Namla Jabsumch Shanchib Wire Sola Antibjana Jabsumch Shanchib Yamburum Jiji Wara Sanji Namla Jabsumch Chudam Shanchib Wire Sola Antibjana Jabsumch Chatar, one jay, they share a jim, Shanti betting a tirabata, Shanti Basin Quim La Pala, Tetaram Janani Patar. Division and Dola Pandunda, Shanti Basim, Jim Jason, Division and Tanam La Pala, and Babs and the Laparaj. Chatarang one chip, they share a jim, Shanti betting a tirabata, Shanti Basin Quim La Pala, Tetaram Janani Patar. Division and Dola Pandunda, Shanti Basim, Jim Jason, Division and Tanam La Pala, and Babs and the Laparaj. Chatarang jib de shagajim, Shanti Betinam Tirapata, Shanti Basim Queen Lapala, Tetaram Janani Patar, Division and Dola Pandunda, Shanti Basim Nam Jim Jason, Division and Tanam Lapala, Rembabs and Dabla Tandi, Dazim Diva, you the mayor to the Balak Paratoba, Teran Sarji Researchi, Sanjit is a Tatirato, Tana. The kitchen, nature, Tam Tumble, Samante, Jumirim Samburim Dala, Yoparam and Jeratetarabsha, Long Eve Shatar Pampuli, Chatter in Chinan Patar, Tapes and Jersey, Tartini, Shanchibasim Dalashi, Daki Teram Churpat, Hamchada Jub, Shangaram do up the Shagan Yelatan, what the de Lam Dunda, who's an angel, Hatan Haman Lasso Gavareji. Simchoran Bochi, Marchi, Panamati, Stipan Yamban, Meparayan, Koni, Kondan, Peveration, Shanchivim Dam, and Derajam, Shanchivil, Labjorvata, Sanji Namji, Yom Jam, the Jilin, the Mapaveration, Shanchivisan, Juan, Jinam, Rutunatilla, Gondravisho, Gomboin, Gargomba, Simchana Namla, Timjurisho, Simchana Tamjala Beta, Danjiraji, and do Tamjala Tata. Shanti Basin, Wakan Takasarabjipa, Teta Ganji, Molamam Japarejo, Mahosha, Bechin, Barava, Wanga, Bob Janda, Betonzo Zurutupa, Yeshirka, Macha Devdan, Bamiram Jani, Dorjinia Mana, Chimbuhal, Churkana, one day, Durji, Jitan, Wamshi, J. Chazi, Panamadirabum, Kundinga, Wamjira, not Jalazana, Wanton, Herega, Sama Yeshim, Bandara. Dem Chandra Bajarpo, the Chin and Tirin, Malnature game, Tori Shitaman, Chotanam Sarji, Wamsi, the Tonker, Wamsa Turji, Wawandaki, so Antom Nimba Chimbung, Anyanata, Durji, Garchita Samayo, Gamalazonga, Jetting, Kamsamgi, was there a Marapum Kundi, on like Chabataji, Tamchalayo, the Perection, Durji Chapach, Buticina, Nami, Mudrum, the Gim Chotoloja, Durji Chapachimbu, and after the day, I Chimburum Shelepa, Tai Jam Delata, Karachan, and Durji. Shiva, Jimjipa, Ramjam Sasama Wangal Hatsola, Gippy Zurvan Dipsup Shinjilo, Chotana Hudrum, the game Watada, Tomina Wanda Chilpung, Trivers, Loma, Hosha, Dechin, Barava, Wanga, Popjanta, Deton Sosorotopa, Yashirka, Macha Devdan by Miram Jani, Dorjinia Mano, Achimbuhal, Churkana Wamtai, Durji Chum, Jitana Wamsi, 3G, Chazi, and my dear bum, Kundinga Wamjir, not to the Zana once in Herega, Sama Yashim Bandra. Dem Chandra Pajarpo, the Chinentir, Manager game, Tori Shitman, Chatham Shade, Wamsi, the Tonker, Wamsa Durji, Wawaki, so Antom Nimba Chimbung, Anyarat, Durji Kai, Garchista Samayo, Gamalasang of Jetting Kamsung, was there a Marapon Kundi, on like Chabataji, Tamchalayo, the Parapshin, Durji Chapach, and Buticina, Nami, Mudrum, Durgim Chotoloja. Japachimbu, not to the Deva Chimburudum Shilipa, Tayam Chalata, Karchan, Telji Koma Shiva, Jimjipa, Ranjam Sasama Wangal, Hatsola, Gippy Zurvan Dipsup Shinjilo. Drum, the game one time, told me the one that Jelbum, Traverse, Loma, Hosha, Dechin, Barava, Wanga, Potanta, Deton Sosor Topa, Yashirka, Macha Devdan, Pamiram, Jani, Dorjinia Mana, Chimbuhal, Churkana. Testing,
testing, testing, testing, testing, testing, testing.
Some Bandara, them Chandra Pajarpo, the Chin and Tirin, Manager game, Tori Shitman, Chotam Jade, Wamsi, the Tonker, Wamsa Durji, Wawaki, so Antom Nimba Chimbong, Anyanata, Durji, Karchista Samayo, Gamalasang Jetting, Kamsung, was there a Marpum Kundi, on like Chabataji, Tamchalayo, the Parapshin, Durji Chabach, and Butigina, Nami. drum der kim chok tolo durji chak chak ba chim bu yi not the deva chim bur dum shire ba thai yam da da ro kar chan tar ji kon wa she wa jim ji pa ram jam sa sam wan gal ha zola ki bi zur ram dip sub shin ji lo chot na ngo drum der kim kwan ta da thog mi le wan der shel pa ngo tru so lo or jana yer je nam shang sam par ma ke zar dong bo la yam chanam chok ngo de ni par mam jong ni ji sa chakam kor tan kan du mam bo kor cher je ji sa da de ji shin ji lo shir shig sa so gar par ma sa da de ho am jad bang garam sam je da cha par rim zan chim bo je da shang sam ni wa tri je da da de shin kwap je da la so la sarvam dip sup shin ji lo ba sha na sa mi war cha da so lo sam ba yip jin da ba da cha dan tham ma de zo la cha bang garam sam je da am cha par rim zan chim bo je da shang sam ni wa tri je da de shin kwap je la so la sarvam dip sup shin ji lo ba sha na sa mi war cha zo la sam ba yip jin da ba da am cha dan tham ma de zo la cha bang garam sam je da de par rim zan chim bo je da shang sam ni wa tri je da de shin kwap je la so la sarvam dip sup shin ji lo ba sha na sa mi war cha zo la sam ba yip jin da ba da am cha dan tham ma de zo la cha bang garam sam je da chim bo je da shang sam ni wa tri je da de shin kwap je la so sarvam dip sup shin ji lo ba sha na sa mi war cha zo la sam ba yip jin da ba da am cha dan tham ma de zo la cha bang garam sam je da de par rim zan chim bo je shang sam ni wa tri je da de shin kwap je la so la Bangaram Samjatam, the parent in Chimp of Jetta, Shansam New Bridget, the Chinkajel has all arms, the Van Dips of Shinjelo, Shana, some verges, some by Virgin, the Badam, Chotan, the Mang, the Bangaram Samjatam, the parent in Chimp of Jetta, Shansam New Bridget, the Chinkajel has all arms, the Van Dips of Shinjelo, Shana, some verges, some by Virgin, the Bad, Chotan, the Mang, the Bangaram Samjatam, the parent in Chimp of Jetta, Shansam New Bridget, the Chinkajel has all arms, the Van Dips of Shinjelo, Shana, some verges, some by Virgin, the Badam. Chodan tan mahmud solam kinlam dorj sorwat tapum tim dag zogan da ni pa sab shos na tang gal pon tap su de jawada chutam jim pirver zalat sol ajimil tom ba ni ta tim jonga na girmi le zomji jemi sal ram dan nam karam chutna jam su we ren chen son che pa ni da var Tom Bam Tom me the shot sangin sergem dog janam santa hui shaladan chukur sam sola dorji ke the tom jim shari sanam shar jan lar jan shan sharayon nyam shar der sil hom zelana ma serjir tarazab jana khalam barava Yeshi was the Javi Kwayan Chavani was cheap Jalanip Tanam Chateso, Perso Jamsum Kurji, Kurjan, Jambazam Jitas Jim Tanil, Namjal of Dewan Chaka, Hualatunova, Kapganam Deep, Daniel and Chimburasal, Yanjin Chimbo, so the Nanimi Jam, Zoni, Molam, Chimbo, Abjadam, Parkarataram, Sam Dushir Merit, the Roy, Tombati, Jin, Lam, Sham Salalo. Darjana goes some gates all of Shurji, Canals on Shurburton, the Minimber, Tom and a name, Sir, the Tomani, by your name, Jurba Jarpon, so Surupshire, Paraton, so she will give one, Tisam Sarlajis, Yerango, Zabja Jachin, Chujim Kurno, Saram, Shurjur, Gentleman, Chalparam, Corta, Sol, Jonanam, Kastavi, Yeshirka, Tirsam, Bum, Jeremy, Paramjimology. Nangora changing a salaton jam, Jerbazirka, Tartan, Avaramzud, Daki, Desam, Sarpa, Gates or Jim, Katibundo, Kalam, Hanalata, Chuji, Jalabu, Tarparam, Nipshil, Jan, Chuji, Jalaba, Compound, Operation, Darchani, Mim, Doam, Gumilanam, Tijin, Larparavs over Quatanandi, Janta, Dim, the Red and Chinanam, Samandia, now I'm Jin, Jin, Chanin, Dave Jam Chocos, me the cheaper. Yelchi that being on the Soran Divana. One jetam chimbo manilavar, Shanchava, Tiji, Jim, Zanam, Zodam, Sanam, Jelbata, Zomli, Perchan, Jestum, Berkeley, Yashin, was there not Zobano and Chimbo, the Dansim and Hamchaji, the Pat Hamchalab Sarjan, Takba, Jimbo, Lamje, Yondan, and Television, the Chidi, Shermer, Tokusan, number, Sam Lam. Mastum bachum dandi tips and a shak bad Jumbaya, the Parazopa, Santi, Quarjer, Shakja, the Banam, Sharim, Zalam, Chutur, Jepsum, Shawlam, Tumbachum, then the Tips and Shakbada, Jumbaya, the Parazopa, Santi, Quarjer, Shakja, the Banam, Sharim, Zalam, Chutur, Jepsum, Shawlam, Tumbachum, then the Tips and Shakbada, Jumbaya, the Parazopa, Santi, Quarjer, Shakja, the Banam, Sharim, Zalam, Chutur, Jepsum, Shawlam, Tumbachum, then the Tips and Shakbada, Jumbaya, the Parazopa, Santi, Quarjer, Shakja, the Banam, Sharim, Zalam, Chutur, Jepsum, Shawlam, Tumbachum, then the Tips and Shakbada, Jumbaya, the Parazopa, Santi, Quarjer, Shakja, the Banam, Sharim, Zalam, Chutur, Jepsum, Shawlam, Tumbachum, then the Tips and Shakbada, Jumbaya, the Parazopa, Santi, Quarjer, Shakja, the Banam, Sharim, Zalam, Chutur, Jepsum, Shawlam, Tumbachum, then the Tips and Shakbada, Jumbaya, the Parazopa, Santi, Quarjer, Shakja, the Banam, Sharim, Zalam, Chutur, Jepsum, Shawlam, Tariyato, Mani, Mahamanizo, Tariyato, Mani, Mahamanizo, Tariyato, Mani, Mam. Tareto mani mahamanizo, 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 ha, mani mahamanizo, mani mahamanizo, mani mahamanizo. Mani mahamanizo, mani mahamanizo, mani mahamanizo, mani mahamanizo, hai devara shakpa chirka chamda tam kurta gatsi satta shankamanda kirjem sam chakap zambu chandawa tendran konar dagso jirvara shonami sarvata thangata bayo bukum kangbe sarvata kangate saparana mangangana kansu Dotan Gandram Damlam Tochi, listen by me, Jim to the Sunshine and Jet, not of them the Quater and Pony and James, Solam Chato, some Don Hundreds, Jim Dotan Gandram Damlam Tochi, listen by me, Jim to the Sunshine and Jet, not of them the Quater and Pony and James, Solam Chato, some Don Hundreds, Jim Dotan Gandram Damlam Tochi, listen by me, Jim to the Sunshine and Jet, not of them the Quater and Pony and James, Solam Chato, some Don Hundreds of the Gandab Samo Yeshi to Bison, Yanti Gelamo Ekanza Gem, Yeshi Ledam Jitin Mamoso, Solom Chatum Churim Chalim Zud, Hoin Gandab Samo Yeshi to Bursala, Yanti Gelamo Ekanza Gem, Yeshi Ledam Jitin Mamoso, Solom Chatum Churim Chalim Zud, Hoin Gandab Samo Yeshi to Bursala, Yanti Gelamo Ekanza Gem, Yeshi Ledam Jitin Mamoso, Solom Chatum Churim Chalim Zud. Trong trong chăm chỉ chim bù ra là chợ bán em chỉ để tôm mắm chợ ta giá ta để cái chợ bán tiếp chỉ đem chim sầu lâm chợ tâm chợ mìm chân mìm rụt chợ trong trong chăm chỉ chim bù ra là chợ bán em chỉ để tôm mắm chợ ta giá ta để cái chợ bán tiếp chỉ đem chim sầu lâm chợ tâm chợ mìm chân mìm rụt chợ trong trong chăm chỉ chim bù ra là chợ bán em chỉ để tôm mắm chợ ta giá ta để cái chợ bán tiếp chỉ đem chim sầu lâm chợ tâm chợ mìm chân mìm rụt Dam chân chế wo chen bu thi lim zat ye dim tam am zang gang po ni cho gap cha da sam ja ji ji cho dam jim so lam cha tam chen mim chen lim zo chen bu thi lim salam dim dim tam am zang gang po ni cho gap cha da sam ja ji ji cho dam jim so lam cha tam chen mim chen lim zo hoan dam chân chế wo chen bu thi lim salam dim dim tam am zang gang po ni cho gap cha da sam ja ji ji cho dam jim so lam cha tam chen mim chen lim zo dai ba ma hoàng cơ quan nhân thâu vô chi chép dân đỡ bờ chết bò yang lê quê giờ mà bờ qua qua đập bàn chim số lâm chớ tâm chớ mìm chân niệm rụt sơ ba ma hoàng cơ quan nhân thâu vô chi chép dân đỡ bờ chết bò yang lê quê giờ mà bờ qua qua đập bàn chim số lâm chớ tâm chớ mìm chân niệm rụt sơ ba ma hoàng cơ quan nhân thâu vô chi chép dân đỡ bờ chết bò yang lê quê giờ mà bờ qua qua đập bàn chim số lâm chớ tâm chớ mìm chân niệm rụt có gì yalla chăm ba chăm chỉ chăm đợt bờ ngõ trở té và làm giật bay Churchon Yevgen Norwegian Jib Dagam Santumali Niran Jabim Zodam Kurdi Chukan Katari Bunga Randam Amgil Yeshi Olingi Long Wardanam Jambu Durjila Namb Jebji Yevgen Norwegian Karaksalam Zimzam Panja Taya Chin Chum Chilip Shagji Relative Women Jabni Chilajon or Zerem Milim Cho Rana and Tagapud Lama Mirzalai Chin Reward Serni Jan Kama Jama Wale Egyptian Leb Yedalajman Jim Yedepan Toy Javla Solorwa Devagon Yeder Topan Pover Pshenanti Olova Nichinero Serni Jankama Sanjama Walente Egyptian Leb Yedalajman Jimmy the Pentoy Javala Solorwa Divergon Yederto Baim Pover Shenanti Lover Nichinera Serni Jankama Sanjama Walenti Egyptian Leb Yedalajman Jimmy the Panzoy Jabala Solorwa Devagon Yeder Tobaim Pover Pshenanti Lobam Tarnab Lama Olingi Tilir Chirang Pshawani Jianya Wintam Yadkan Yeshi Jim Dim Lamada Kalawan Yambub Shinam Tova Parasam Jiva Ganta Yantara Lama Tam Jimidan Chuji Walla Longshid Jang Sada Lam Je Yundan Ramzoni Durjim Changa Gwampa Nyura Tobu Sho Jimdan Dim Gombun Jam Holagayang Shagim Zalalo Ganga Lobjudum Nitam Jaranya Taranam Tarab Sadavi Janyara Tungana Jab Jam Zipshira Nirji Tikar Lagwan Zan Gandaka Jab Sundar Mare Mamtana Dinga Jizara Dotsaga Kanla Bashib Tarsi Yalla Jiji Yandana Zon Dictor Chetrogum Yamon Honly J Chogodrum Zalaja Mare Mamzada Dunga Yakam Chimnila Chum Zalaratranam Doni Tarjan Sabjim Tarsuna Yundan Lizoga Jetri Tawoshka Chatagab Jatam Jani Janti of Daglu Mamsalam Jam Holagayan the Umara Patana the Umara Patana the Umara Patana Umara Patana the 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 Zidanan Jirgin Keraba, what is a jeep? Damlo, the member of Salani. Kadam them Jews only Topaya, no true, Polapa, no, Jelata Solo.
제 전부도 힘이 좀 보면 좀 나저도 그러다 혼자도 하시면도 tum바도 제장라기 시험설 好，为度化一切众生，请大家发无上的菩提心。今天我们继续讲。
Okay, let's continue with the classes on the Suragama Sutra. In fact, before this, I would like to make a short announcement.
今年齐乐法会前面吧，就是这个闭关的话呢，我们应该是念阿弥陀佛，就是前一段时间大众这边就是就应该要求或者说是今年的计划呢。 说念阿弥陀佛啊，就是藏文的话100万，或者是汉语的话600万。以前没有念的话，那就是当然这短短的15天不一定能念完，但是到时候闭关的时候要用，主要是以这个修往生净土法为主，所以各个地方各个班啊，各位法师啊。
Therefore, wherever you are, the Sangha and the classes that we have over here in Larangar, I hope that you prepare yourself to prepare yourself to be reborn in Sukhavati, the Pure Land, because we will have eventually to die, and I think you should be prepared to be reborn in the Pure Land. Pansog Rinpoche, in fact, Pure Land. Therefore, we should make preparation for this. Every year, I usually would go out and teach and so on. And I don't really know. Now let's get into the actual class. That is the Suragama Sutra. The Suragama Sutra is such a supreme teaching. From certain aspect, I can see how people have developed such devotion towards this sutra, maybe because of the history, because of the certain connection that you have with the Zen Buddhism. Therefore, the teachings that's taught in the Suragama Sutra is in fact quite taken seriously by the Chinese practitioners. And this one, particularly compared to the previous teachings that we've studied, I think many people probably take this one more seriously than the others, which are the Diamond Sutra, the Amitabha Sutra, the Malakirti Sutra, the Heart Sutra, and so on. And I can definitely see that you have more devotion and more faith in the Suragama Sutra. I can tell by my observation. And by the beginning of the teaching of Suragama Sutra, I saw lots of auspicious signs. In fact, I don't usually talk about auspicious signs, and I don't usually believe in those most of the time. But there are definitely some auspicious coincidences that happened. Maybe they're just a coincidence, maybe they are auspicious coincidences. Anyhow, today is 2019, September the 9th, which we have triple nines in the dates, and in Chinese, the 9 means eternity, or 9 sounds very similar to eternity. When I first encountered this Suragama Sutra, it in fact has 1999 September the 9th, which included 4 nines. And from that day till today, it's been 20 years exactly. Therefore, this is such a 4 nines. It has such auspicious and important symbolism to me, and I think it's part of the auspicious signs. Back then it was 4 nines, and today, when we're actually giving this teaching on the Suragama Sutra, we coincidentally have the 3 nines again, which is quite interesting, isn't it? Such supreme auspicious connection. When Master Xu Yun was giving he said that right before the Suragama Sutra, there was this Utapala flower that all of a sudden blossomed, which was quite wonderful and really beautiful, and it didn't wither for a long period of time. Therefore, we can notice that although Master Xu Yun doesn't have much of the writings on the Dharma teachings, but his main teaching and the main commentary is on Suragama Sutra, where Master Xu Yun said that by reading the Tripitaka, in fact, if you could read in detail, then it plants good seeding in your mind. But if you were to just flip through and skipping the content, then it doesn't really have much of the merit. However, when it comes to Suragama Sutra, if you were to read the Suragama Sutra alone, the merit that it could bring you is quite great. Even if you just read the sutra itself without referring to any commentaries, the merit is incalculable. Some scholars from Peking University, they used to say that Master Xu Yun's chronicles were made by the later generations, Master Xu Yun couldn't have lived to 120 years. That cannot be true. Some scholars hold such ideas, but later on, there are other scholars who then found factual evidence to prove Master Xu Yun's birthday and birth date and death dates, which then further prove that Master Xu Yun indeed lived for 120 years. For example, one of these evidences was that Master Xu Yun, when he was young, he was forced to get married, and his wife at that time sent letters to him before, and it was dated. So through such kind of evidence, as well as the evidence that's studied and proved by Master Ben Huan. Master Ben Huan was the disciple of Master Xu Yun. There was I think a documentary. The name is 100 Years of Master Xu Yun. I didn't finish watching the whole documentary, but I think the majority of the content was indeed quite touching. For example, part of Master Xu Yun's life when he was young was indeed very different than those of other children. I think there were about 20 or so series of episodes of this documentary on Master Xu Yun. In fact, instead of watching other movies and so on, why don't you watch the documentaries or other movies about the previous masters? Wouldn't that be even better? Because you are what you watch. You are whatever kind of information you receive. You will become the kind of person that you want to be, or that is based on the information that you receive. I think in that documentary, according to that documentary, Master Xu Yun was born back in 1840, and then he lived for 120 years. The whole history was well documented. The scholars nowadays, they only give very vague and really they only use very vague evidence to support their thesis. And those kind of studies could fool lots of people who don't really study. For example, in the previous class, we've already discussed about whether the sutra is false or is it a true sutra. In fact, the majority of the people don't have the ability to distinguish whether this sutra is genuine or not. On top of that, they would listen to other people's words without having the wisdom to discern for themselves. And as I said last time, in fact, the mistake that you could create by taking this sutra as a fake sutra or even propagate such an idea, others is worse than those of the butchers. That you would destroy other people's spiritual path. In fact, the karmic debt that you owe them would be that you do not have the opportunity to receive the correct teaching, the truth of everything, the truth of phenomena for eons. Because the butchers would only kill people's physical body, or the butcher would only kill sentient beings' physical body, but the ones who slander the sutra, in fact, they kill the spiritual body of people. just like a poisonous snake would only harm a person. But if you were to stop other people's spiritual path, such kind of bad karma is much more detrimental. Devadatta and others, bad spiritual leaders, could be your spiritual guidance, and you would continue such a wrong path if you were to make such wrong mistake. Some great masters, in their lifetime, sometimes they would manifest in a way that they would slander certain kind of dharma, but then when they approach their senior age or at a certain time of their life, they would repent such kind of mistake that they've made to demonstrate, and that's what people should do as well. Just as like Master Hong Yi, that is a famous master in China. Lots of doubts, suspicion, and different opinions were discussed in the last class. So later on, whenever it's necessary, I will in detail discuss and explain and study with everyone about why there are some people would take the sutra as a fake sutra from different aspects, such as history, such as other kind of factors. So we'll discuss further if it was necessary. Some famous, some teachers or some geshis from Tibet, if they were to go out and study in good monasteries, then they would be able to become really good masters. They'd be able to then later on benefit people in certain areas. However, there are people who then went to a monastery, for example, or a school where they only cherish the words instead of the actual practice. Therefore, what's really important is to have a good spiritual guidance, to have a good teacher. Of course, there are people who are very eloquent, they're quite articulate, and they can influence lots of people. Not only that they're influential in good aspect, they could also be influential in bad aspects. During Second World War, Hitler at that time, he was quite influential, isn't he? Whenever he gives a speech, thousands and thousands of people would get really touched. He was very articulate, really eloquent, and at that time, whatever he spoke, his speech would make a great influence, and the people would listen to him, and the people would believe in him, and would feel that the Jews are the kind of people from the description from Hitler's speech. So such kind of influence such kind of influence sometimes could be good and sometimes could be bad. Sometimes it could be beneficial, sometimes it could be not beneficial, not only to a person, but to a society. Therefore, whatever we propagate, whatever we whatever idea that we try to propagate to others, I think we should be very objective. I think we should try to benefit others, and we should base on factors as on factual evidence rather than only based on what you've heard. This is quite an important point. Therefore, the Shurangama Sutra, later on, I think when I have an opportunity, I will also share some of the commentary where it talks about the merits of Shurangama Sutra, as well as the historical, as well as the masters from the history and their insights that they've gained through studying of this sutra. The first story I would like to tell you is from the Tang Dynasty. There was a master, his name is Wei Que. Master Wei Que, according to the Song Dynasty's great history of great masters, once he went to Fan Rong's home. If you remember Fan Rong, he was the cabinet who translated or helped into translation of the Shurangama Sutra into Chinese. And when he visited Fan Rong at his home, at that time, Fan Rong took out the 10 volumes of the Shurangama Sutra. And he then gifted each volume to each one of the monastics, where he invited 10 monastics into his home at that time, and Master Wei Que was one of them. Of course, in history, there's another explanation that Master Wei Que, in fact, received the Shurangama Sutra from Master Xinqiu, and he received the 4th volume of the Shurangama Sutra. At that time, Master Fan Rong gifted each volume to different monastic. It wasn't really described very clearly in the history. Anyhow, at that time, he offered this opportunity for these 10 monastics to make auspicious connections to this Shurangama Sutra. And upon receiving this 4th volume of Shurangama Sutra, Master Wei Que arose great confidence in this teaching. And in order to write a commentary up on this sutra, for 11 years, the Master Wei Que supplicated to Manjushri. For 11 years, that's quite dedicated. And once in his pure vision, pure perception, he saw Manjushri enters into his mouth and dissolved into his body. And then, right after that, he was able to start writing commentary on the Shurangama Sutra, and he composed a commentary on the 3 volumes of Shurangama Sutra. And after finished composing this commentary, he dreamt that Manjushri left him through his mouth again. And after that, he was not able to write anymore. So sometimes we can see it's just like Pongsa Rinpoche. He has 3 types of writings. One is terma, one is his commentary, and one is his commentary on the sutras, and the other ones on the tantras. So in the Midland area, lots of great masters, including Song Dynasty, Ming Dynasty, and great masters in the Chinese history, what they've said in common is that the commentary that they all study is the commentary that's written by Master Wei Que. The other one is Master Guanding. I'm not sure if that refers to Master Qi Yi, in fact, but the time is a little bit off if it were him. Maybe it was. It was the disciple of Master Qi, because Master Qi was 100 or 200, in fact 200 years prior to the translation of Shurangama Sutra into Chinese language.
所以，这是一个方面的，就是还有呢，在明朝的时候啊
In Ming Dynasty, there was a master. His name was Master Zhen Jian.
真见大师的话呢，他也是依靠这个《楞严经》。
And through the studying of the Shurangama Sutra, he gained full realization.
然后就是开始出家。
In fact, after he gained realization and insights, and he decided to get ordained. And after he got ordained, he read the Shurangama Sutra for 10 years.
然后这个真见大师的话呢，他就是度了这个试验啊，就是不断的。
Master Jin Jian continued to read the sutra and study the sutra for 10 years, and during his once he got ill and dreamt of the three saints of the West that. Those are Mahatamprata and Avalokiteshvara and Amitabha. And he said that in his dream he told the three saints, saying that I cannot go with you to the Pure Land because I have to write commentaries on the Shurangama Sutra. And after he got well, after he woke up, he got well, and then he started composing this commentary. Of course, his commentary was not all received. It was some people slandered him, and some people really praised him for this commentary.
包括做一些讲记也好，就是写一些注
I
释
think
也好，
when it comes
我们
to
可能
writing
现在很多人的
commentaries
这个
and
实
when it
践呢，
comes
就
to
比较近，因
transcripts,
此
when it
也和
comes
这个
to
就写书啊，就是包括
writing
做一些讲记
books,
的话呢，就是我们
I really
当然
hope
一方面
that
有一个时效性，就可能做
on
一
one
些参考啊，
hand,
就是这样子
it
有
really
必要的，然
helps
后你们也可
people
能
to
做
read
一些讲
the
记的话，我看
transcripts
到我们
of
很
the
多人确实
classes
发心
very
还是
quickly. That's
很辛
really
苦，就是
wonderful.
连夜的，就是
I
马
know
上
that
做
they
讲解，然后
do their
给大家就
commentaries
是
and
还没有忘之前的
transcripts
话呢，
really
就是提供
quickly
这个
and
提供这个
provide the
有
transcripts
一些什么，
very
就是提供
timely
这
to the
个
others so that they
就
can
是这
review
个方
the
便啊，就是
class.
这个是非
This
常必
is
要的。但是可
providing
能后
the
面要这个
necessary
说明
convenience.
暂时为定
But
稿
I
的。
think
那
later
写
you
定稿
have
的话
to
呢，我们
provide this
最
short
好
sentence
是
saying
可
that
能
this is not the
是吧
final
就是
version
中间就是
so
要
that people
有一
would
段时
know
间，因为我们有时候是
that
时间
this
特
is
别紧
not
的话
the
呢，
final
任何事
version,
情
that there
啊
are
就是做
and
的
there
不是
could
特
be
别
some
的
mistakes
这种效
that's
率上不是
included
不是
in
很
these
好的，所
transcripts,
以
in the
我们
very
真正要
timely
做一些讲
yet
解的话
rather
呢，它
quite
是这个
rushed
全年
transcripts.
大计吧，就是可以说是就是一直这
Therefore, I
个
think it's quite
就是流
necessary
传百
to
世，就是这样的话，
revise
那
the
么这个
first
文字的这种
transcript
丰富和文字的
and
这种
edit
严
the
谨
first
精密
transcript
啊，就
and
这一
take
点呢，
take some
非常
time
重
for
要
it
的。哪怕是
to
不
get
管是哪
better
一个这个
written
大师
and
也好，
without
上师
any
也好，
mistakes.
这个
This is
这
quite
些教研
important.
就是如果流传下来的话呢，效果很好，就是
Because
这样是特别好。我最近翻译那个。前几年他们编的那个藏文的一个法王如意宝的
Because when it comes to
教研记吧，就是教研记中共有
comes
好
to
像那个
benefiting the later
80
generation,
多章吧，就是80多章。但是
I think it's quite
中间呢，就是我
necessary
遇到
to
很多
then
不同的这个
revise
心态。有时
and
候的话呢，
it's quite
哇，就是
necessary
这
to
个
make
贡献很大，就是
corrections
这个
and
就
to
这里
make
面的
sure
很多
that
道
all
理
the
这
things
这些
written
教研
down
就
are
是全部
factual.
都就记在
For
这里面，哇，
example,
特别
earlier
感
I
慨，
was
就是这种
translating the
有时候的
teachings
话呢，好像很不舒
collected
服，就是
by
当时
lots of
没
the
有怎么讲，就
disciples,
是他们自己
the
的
teachings taught by
说
Pongso
什么
Rinpoche.
呀，就
Sometimes
因为比如
when
说
I
一个标
read
记
some
当中的
of
话
the
呢，不知道
teachings,
说
I
什么，
felt
就是
like,
做记笔就没有人
wow,
懂
this
的。
teaching is
或
quite
者
precious.
当时
It's
当时如
so
果没
wonderful,
不
and
会
I
那么
am
那
so
么
grateful,
还是天赋都
so
什么都没有，
grateful
就
for
是
people
做
who've
记笔就是这样。所以我对这个
then
自己
collected
编
this
辑室的
teaching
话
and
呢，
written it
这
down.
个
And sometimes
我
when
也
I
不知道
read
这
certain
到底是
titles
编
and
的
I
啊，
have
每
no
天
idea
因为
what
编
they're talking
那
about,
个里面的时
and
间
then
的那
I
个也没很明
asked,
显，然后其实这
and
都
then I
影响
tried to
反而
ask
不好，
who
也
the
还是
editor
有
is.
明朝好一点，就是
none of them wanted to say that they're the bad editor. Therefore, I think it's quite necessary to ask each editor to write their names there so that I can find each of the person who is responsible for each of the transcripts of the teaching. So sometimes my feelings would fluctuate when I flip through the book that has Phuntsok Rinpoche's teaching. Sometimes I feel rather quite grateful and happy. Sometimes I feel really quite upset about that. I don't really understand what it is. Of course, the other aspect of it is the collection of the teachings and all the aspects of a great master. From yesterday or today, actually, I really want to start collecting the audios and the videos of Phuntsok Rinpoche. And I would hand this job to the female disciples. It used to be the task of the male practitioners, but I would like to then hand over this job to the female practitioners because the male disciples, they have lots of work and they couldn't find the proper the appropriate people to do so. And from yesterday and today onwards, I really want to collect all the Phuntsok Rinpoche's audio as well as a video that is given in China as well as abroad. Even if it's just a teaching of a stanza, even if it's one lyric song by him or so, any of these kind of audio or videos, I really want to collect them because it would be quite precious. And if we don't do this now, I think the disciples of Phuntsok Rinpoche would then pass away, and it's going to get even more difficult to collect the audios and the videos of Phuntsok Rinpoche. I think I've mentioned it before. I really rejoice Trungpa Rinpoche's disciples whom collected the videos and audios of Trungpa Rinpoche. They've collected and protected in some ways, as well as organized it really professionally and quite proficiently. Also, it has something to do with the equipment at that time. In fact, our equipment we had was really not sufficient. The audio and the video, they were all quite blurry and fuzzy, but the equipment Trungpa Rinpoche's disciples had in United States were quite excellent. All the video and audios recorded in his centers was quite precious and valuable that we can use nowadays, and we can still see Phuntsok Rinpoche right now. Therefore, such a kind of wealth, the wealth of our spiritual treasure, or the wealth of our culture, all of these kind of videos and audios, in fact, is quite necessary to preserve, as this is an important aspect of our wealth. On top of the videos and audios, in fact, Trungpa Rinpoche's disciples also wrote a lot of the encounters, stories of encounters. They didn't write down lots of those stories or something like almost like a fairy tale story, such like my teacher could fly and so on. In fact, his disciples wrote down the factual evidence, such the factual encounters, such as what time and when this disciple had met the teacher, whether there's a smile of the teacher, what kind of trigger, what kind of emotion that triggers this disciple, and and so on. Today, in fact, I felt that these kind of stories are quite necessary to record. I was thinking of the movie Inception, where there was a gadget that could remind the person of the storyline. And when I was reading back into my calendar, some of the little notes that I wrote down in my calendar that was 20 years ago, in fact, they could trigger me of the memories back then. In the West, in the simultaneous as well as consecutive translations, in fact, the scholars and the interpreters, they would use some very short symbols to trigger their memory, and that could remind them what kind of logic links and what kind of contents was stated. So I think such kind of translation and interpretation is rather quite wondrous. It's quite interesting to be able to use some symbols to remind them the whole content. Pontso Rinpoche used to do so, that he would teach for half an hour straight, and then he would ask me to translate to others, and while waiting for me to translate, he would then eat his tsampa, he would take his medicine, he would drink his tea, and at that time I would continuously to speak, and I would stand at the window of the shrine hall and speak to the whole audience and so on. And Pontso Rinpoche would after a while look at me and saying that, "Have you finished translating?" And sometimes I would write because the content is so long, sometimes it would take for about half an hour, and then I would write down some short forms or shorthands for certain names, such as Atisha. I would just write an A and so on. In fact, before 1999, between 1987 till 1999, I was translating for Pontso Rinpoche in the consecutive format. And then in 1999, I found that there's such equipment that could help us to have the simultaneous interpretation. Therefore, I started the simultaneous between 1999 to 2004, or rather 2003. I think simultaneous interpretation is rather quite timely, and it could convey the information really quickly. Each masters have rather very different styles. For example, there are the teachers who would say, "When I went to India," and then wait for the interpreter to say that when I went to India. But there are the Rinpoches or masters who would speak for a long period of time and wait for the translator to finish. I remember that Trunlé Rinpoche, who is the father of Dzongtsar Khyentse Rinpoche, I think it probably Sanjay Kongtrul told me this story that Trunlé Rinpoche would speak for half an hour and then left the shrine hall and let the translator to translate while he walks around in the garden and enjoy the scenery in the garden. So he would walk around to look at the flowers, and the translator would translate the joke part, and the disciples would all laugh. And the Trunlé Rinpoche would look at the flowers and also laugh along with them outside of the tent where where the translator and all the disciples are in. So he would come back after a long time, and he would ask the translator, "Have you finished translating? If not, then okay, I'm gonna come back later, okay?" So different masters and translators, they all have a very, very different style. I don't know where I got that. Anyhow, I was talking about. Anyhow, I was going to tell you a few stories so that we can finally got back into the actual text. Anyhow, my point was that in terms of translation, in terms of transcripts, in terms of writing books, I think people should be rather quite serious about it, especially when it comes to the written words. It's quite crucial to make sure that they're very accurate because they will last for a long time to benefit future generations. On the other hand, is we should collect the stories, the teachings, and the sounds and the videos and the life stories of great masters. So as the disciples, we should carry such responsibility of doing so, because it would influence whether you can continue such lineage. If we can carry such responsibility and successfully carry such videos and audios and all of these kind of stories and teachings that's passed down from our previous masters, then we can call ourselves successful. We've fulfilled our responsibility. As Buddhists, in fact, a group of us, I understand that a group of you, in fact, place the importance or focused on the aspect of building architectures and doing all these kind of propagation. And there are a group of people who then have a great interest and hold up responsibility of continue with the aspect of the teaching. So the thing that we are currently doing is that we want to continue the voices and the videos, or rather keep such materials to the future generations. The great masters, not only that they did not harm any sentient beings, in fact, they've only benefited sentient beings. In any kind of situation they're in, aging or illness or even death, all of such kind of actions are only done to benefit sentient beings. So for such great bodhisattvas, we should keep their teachings and their stories so that all of these kind of information could benefit the sentient beings in the future generations, and it could carry such energy and such blessings that's given by the great master, the great bodhisattva. If it was not to benefit the future generation, if it was not for the benefit of a future generation, we don't really have to spend such energy and such effort. So, with keeping such intention in mind of benefiting sentient beings, I think it's quite important to carry on this teaching, carry on the previous master's teaching. So now let's continue. I had no idea how I got so distracted. Anyhow, we haven't really got into the actual teaching yet. But anyway, let's move rather quite slow and steady in the teaching of Shurangama Sutra. I really hope these kind of stories and my talks could give rise to your devotion. Anyhow, let's get into the actual content. Thus have I heard. Once the Buddha stayed in the Jatavana Vihara near Shravasti with 1,250 bhikshus, most of whom were great arhats who had crossed the stream of transmigration. That's the only thing that we are going to study. Do you think there's nothing to talk about with the first sentence? That's not going to happen. Last year, when we were studying the Vimalakirti Sutra and other sutras, we talked about the beginning from the aspect of the 5 perfections, and today we're going to study this part from the 6th accomplishment that is widely taught in the mainland Buddhism, in the great masters in mainland Buddhism. And the 6 accomplishments, what are those 6 accomplishments then? They're quite similar to the 5 perfections. Master Zixuan, who was one of the great masters who wrote the commentary on the Shurangama Sutra, and he also, along with many other Chinese masters in the commentary of the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, they stated these 6 kinds of accomplishment. The first one is the accomplishment of faith, and that is thus. The second one is the accomplishment of listening. I heard, and the third one is accomplishment of time. That is the 3 times, and then the accomplishment of the master, who is the Buddha, and the accomplishment of the place, and that is the Jetavana Vihara, and the accomplishment of assembly, that is the 1250 bhikshus. So let's begin with the first one. Thus have I heard. So thus is quite important. It means that truthfully and faithfully that have I heard this teaching. Not only thus have I heard, it's thus have I recorded in such a way as well. So you have to have faith in terms of hearing as well as a recording. It is not that the sutra was written down based on conceptual ideas or habitual patterns that is rather defiled. It is completely what the Buddha had taught. So it is stated as, thus have I heard. It is said that the Dharma is like the great ocean. You can enter the ocean of Dharma with faith, and you can cross the ocean of Dharma with wisdom. Therefore, any kinds of the teachings that's included in the Dharma, you have to have faith. Because if you don't have faith, you won't be able to you won't be able to understand it, and if you don't have it in the middle, you won't be able to persist in studying the Dharma. And then at the end, if you don't have the faith, you won't be able to fulfill or completely comply the Dharma. So those are in the beginning, the middle, and the end. You have to all have faith. In the West nowadays, and the students don't fully follow their teacher because creativity and personal opinion is encouraged. However, in the Eastern philosophy, it is quite important for the disciples, for the students, to truthfully written down and record what the teacher had taught. There was this conversation that happens between the Buddha and his disciples, as well as, for example, even in the Analects of Confucius, it was truthfully recorded, the Buddha's teaching as well as the students' answers. Therefore, the word "thus" is quite important to remember. So that's the first one. Thus, the accomplishment of faith. The second accomplishment is accomplishment of hearing. Thus have I heard. I refers to Shariputra, refers to Madhgalyayana, and so on. All of these great arhats. These are these great arhats have heard this teachings. Over here, I refers to Podagala. In the heretics, they would hold onto the self as the solid existence of self. And in Buddhism, there are three types of different kinds of self, and the self that is the name, and the self that is then the true self, and so on. But over here, the I shows it that refers to the arhats who have truthfully heard these kind of teachings. And the third one talks about the accomplishment of time. On one hand, in India at that time, there's no tradition of recording the time, the specific time. On the other hand, the way we can understand the accomplishment of time is through the three times. In history, we usually then talk about at a certain time and time this political event happened, or something happened. So this kind of a time is quite necessary to record. However, this kind of teaching that is included in the Dharma is not subjugated to the change of time. It's not going to change based on the change of time, unlike the news nowadays that we have. So that's the accomplishment of time. That is the perfect time at all times. And then the fourth accomplishment is the accomplishment of the master, who is the Buddha. The word Buddha means the awakened one, the enlightened one. Therefore, over here, the accomplishment of the master is the Buddha. And he only speaks of the truth. He does not lie to us. He does not deceive the sentient beings. And the merits of the Buddha was taught in other different sutras and shastras, where it talks about how the Buddha then eradicated the two kinds of obscurations and enlightened fully to the wisdom. And the teaching that's given by the Buddha, in fact, is truthful and beneficial to others. This is widely taught in other teachings. The fifth one is the accomplishment of place, that is the Jetavana Vihara. The sixth one is the accomplishment of the retinues or assemblies. According to Mahaprajnaparamita Avatara, it says that the Buddha, in fact, didn't stay for a long period of time in his hometown, but he stayed in other places for a longer period of time. And other people question, why doesn't the Buddha stay at his hometown? And the answer is that the Buddha, in fact, doesn't have any grasping towards the places. There are people who would feel that the Shakya family is the enemy, or is a friend or a foe. Some say that the most difficult ones to help are the ones who are your family members or are from your hometown. So the Buddha, in fact, stayed in Jetavana Vihara, Jetavana for a long period of time, the Shravasti for a long period of time. In fact, the Buddha had more auspicious connections with the city of Shravasti. The discovery of different places where the Buddha gave teaching, and the significant places where Buddha went or stayed didn't get discovered until the 18th century, and it was only based on the journal that is written down by Master Faxian and Master Xuanzang. When we went there with Pontsogor Rinpoche give lots of teachings on how long the Buddha stayed, and the Panzo Rinpoche told us, in fact, that Shravasti was one of the most blessed places where the Buddha stayed for a long period of time, and therefore it is the most blessed place, and so on, all these kind of stories. Lots of the holy places, the pilgrimage sites in India.
应该可以这么讲吧。讲印度圣地是吧？
We're talking about the pilgrimage sites in India.
圣地是这样的，印度圣地呢，现在是成为那个佛教这个圣地。
It was recognized as pilgrimage sites or the holy places of Buddhists. We can talk about these kind of places now. In the way that, in fact, lots of the places was quite glorious back in the history. However, now because of the changes in time, in history, many of the great holy sites were taken away or were abandoned. Compared to history, where Chandragirti, in terms of Nagarjuna, and all of these great Indian masters, whenever we read these kind of texts composed by the great Indian masters, we all feel such great admiration towards them. But nowadays, in the modern time, there weren't not much great Indian scholars or great Indian Buddhists, great Indian Buddhist masters, although they're quite talented in other kind of areas, such as the scientists and engineers working for Boeing and working in Silicon Valley. The great companies in United States, they all like the engineers and information technology engineers. In India, now the so-called Indian Silicon Valley is Bombay, and MIT, the Massachusetts Information Technology Institute is, or the IIT, the India one is quite comparable to the one of the MIT in United States. So from different aspects, we can see that the Indian people are still very smart, except that not many of the great philosophers compared to the ones that they've had in the history. How lots of the Buddhist sites were discovered, in fact, it all the credits goes back to Alexander Cunningham, who was a British. We should remember this archaeologist's contribution. Though he's only a scholar and an archaeologist, but he had discovered and he had then reviewed lots of the Buddhist sites from ashes, from the abandoned places. Alexander Cunningham was a great archaeologist who discovered or rediscovered many of the important Buddhist sites. Alexander Cunningham stayed with the army at that time, with the British, with the British army, and he saw this rock where it has lots of scriptures on it, and he asked around, and not many people recognize such words anymore, and they said maybe it's the ancient writings of Buddhists. By that time, coincidentally, the translation of Master Faxian as well as Master Xuanzang's journal was translated into English language. And then he read those two books, he compared the writings of the descriptions of those two masters' writings, and then he went back to India again to start to rediscover around those areas around 1837. Around 1837, he reviewed of the site and determined that the site of Deer Park, at that time Deer Park was already taken by the Jainism, and he also reviewed the place of Lumbini, where the Buddha was born, as well as the Mahabodhi temple. Back in 12th and 13th century, the Muslim army invaded all the Buddhist temples and holy sites, and in order to protect the Mahabodhi temple, the monks over there buried the entire temple, the entire Mahabodhi temple, into with the sand and soil, and made it into a small hill. Back in 1961, this archaeologist Alexander Cunningham, then he reviewed this is the place where Mahabodhi temple is, and discovered it and dug it out of the hill. So his finding goes hand in hand with the help of the Master Xuanzang as well as the Master Faxian's writing, their books, because in the ancient times the Indian people did not have the habits of record their history, and lots of the history was discovered later on with the writings of people who traveled to India. In fact, from the external area at that time, Mahabodhi was not found. Lots of the Buddhist holy sites was later on taken by different religions, such as the Deer Park was taken by Jainism and used it as a pigsties. Another place that is called Odathapuri, that was a temple. In fact, it was one of the 3 most important temples in India. At the most prosperous time, at its peak time, there were about 12,000 monks studying over there in Odathapuri temple. Marpa as well as Naropa, and all of these great saints, they studied over here at Odathapuri. When Marpa Lotsawa, who was actually Tibetan, but he traveled quite often to India, and he went to this temple and told Naropa, saying that I have a disciple, his name is Milarepa. Milarepa, in fact, received the prediction from received guidance from the Dakinis, and said that he should study the practice of exchanging consciousness, taking consciousness. And then Naropa recited this verse where he said, in the grave darkness that is in the north, there was a master who is just like the sun when the sun shines on the snow peak. To such a great illuminating master, I prostrated to great master Milarepa. And when Naropa folded his hands and prostrated towards the direction of Tibet to show his reverence to Milarepa, and then all of the mountains and vegetations at that time prostrated towards the same direction along with Naropa. So even till now, all the mountains and vegetations are still leaning to the direction of Tibet, seeming that they are prostrating or they are venerating Milarepa, who was in Tibet at that time. At that time, we really wanted to go to Udattapuri Temple.
一部分是以那个仿造那个印度的建筑，印度的建筑的话就是以这个飞翔式的这个风格为主，就是这样的。那这样的这种
There are two kinds of architecture that is quite commonly seen in Tibet, and one of those are based on the architectural style of Udattapuri, and that place is Sangye Temple. Sangye Temple adapts this architectural style. But the temple, the Udattapuri Temple, in fact, it was completely destroyed by Muslim army at that time, back in the 12th and 13th century. There was nothing left. And on top of the ashes and the collapsed temple, there was the temple of, or rather the a Muslim's charnel ground where they bury corpse. So between then till the 18th century, Buddhism was Buddhism tradition as well as its holy sites were all buried or destroyed, and lots of the tradition didn't really continue, didn't really last, and that is why you cannot find many of the archaeological sites in India of Buddhism. Sri Lankan master who brought lots of disciples and reconstructed the Sangha over there at Mahabodhi. There's some old photos or illustrations of Mahabodhi when they rediscovered this temple. At that time, the Lhasa Jowo statue was also enshrined on the second level of Mahabodhi, and according to some of the historical record, it was that the Jowo statue was originally at Mahabodhi and then later on brought to Tibet through the princess when Princess Wenchen came into Tibet. He brought that as a gift. So sometimes when we look into the history, we would see that the conflicts among people, among different religions, really made lots of the detrimental destructions that cannot be recovered. Lots of the other religions are not like Buddhism. Lots of the philosophies are not like Buddhism, where we talk about avoid all evil and practice all good. They're not as inclusive. Buddhism and all other kinds of religions should, in fact, learn from such history, especially we should remember such historical stories where, in fact, we should learn from such histories. And we should use different means to protect, to preserve different kinds of teachings as well as artifacts, as well as the master's teachings and so on. So the Buddhists should really have great gratitude towards Alexander Cunningham, because without him we would not be able to go to all these great pilgrimage sites such as Mahabodhi and Deer Park. I don't think I'll be able to finish teaching even the first sentence. I only talked about the fifth accomplishment, and the sixth one maybe we'll talk about this next class, okay? Here it talks about the 1250 bhikshus. Okay, we'll extend it to next class tomorrow.
Sonam doi tanche zeba tonan ibe jana panshe ja jirga na
Banom chibayam chapim zolim joa jolvara shan deba sanje namda shagjayam jitin tagna kam jigim chol parakir kayam abshin te tagaram yeravaram samzo shang chiburam ber sanjivshin shagjagale janam chanyala ba te taga chire yos tag parakir shanchib shawa chonshag dervata sanji tinje rabta kavarasho shagji simjana kanam chanyala ba te taga tagta namil devarakir joy ganje chuje donamanam tambaram chirjari wa am deparasho shanchib shurpa tagna dagshira jam do kanda jiwa jambarakir seraba kandam champur jiwana stagtab dagna rabtam jomvarasho Yarva ganji jisam hobjiratem zambu shirba yons zobshine jang Salataman jirba jemile yon tagapa Tagata manyamam jumile jubrasho Thaya kata latan objana kala Jalvama tagata maya kanamandam Doi ganji danamam chatsambar Tamchala katab daki chuptanando Tesham parulam shanarabzunandem Shanchibasimna namyam jilmadir Dipa ganama japarakir pataga Tetaga mali yonsab shanvarasho Litam yulmam darjile namalim Turjam jitin doa namsayam Chatar paramochima chakbabshan Yalala namkar topa mehtarabshan Jangam chundam shugnam chatzambar Anson dung alarabta javarabshid Deva taglam doa kam gorajam Doa tam chadalan pambarabshid Shanchibabshir bayons zobshid jang Simjana dakim jatam tambaramji Zambabshir patagna rabtunan jam Maam karapa kandabshir parabji Dakim jodam somber kam shiraba de tagatana tagatam jogbarasho li tang ga na ma tang na sim chi jang shur pa ta ta mo la ma chi tu shil da la phan bram do pa tro pa ta han zang bu shil pa rap ta tum ba nam te ta ga ta ya ta ta chal pa ra sho te da da gi nam ya ya da ma yo sang ji ji jim gur vim gom bo nam ham ngom sama ta da da kim ya wa ta Mawam karpa kanda macho ara te da layam churpa ja chirvje jarwa nam je tambu chum zan jam shang chep churpa kanda na warab shile zambo churpa nam barab jwa karpa kanda chad barab Chadpa tham chadatayam khurvanam sonnam yeshi tagnam mazalavni tabtang sherab tam zanam taratang yundan kanji mazalam zotajir darchi tana dalnyal janam de jantar samji machab sardinam sarje je winam jibala shanchab shalpa shojam tavaraj tetra mali tham chira shosaya chazamam chunla dik zaman salnyal Sarje jamzo janam jamzo dam karapa jamzo chuchang rabdam ji Sonchi yan la jamzo dakana ji jalwa kana yan la nam da bam do kan jim samba jabjana ya sarje son la tagtam ji parab ji tesama shagpa jarwa tham jalatam kurlum sarnam rabdam kurwaya te tagaya soyam mazalala bloye tob jib da jang rabdam ji Mawam karpa tham chanam ji paraya kachi chikib dag jam ji parabja kayam karpa tek saman sarate ta kachi chashi jina ji parabshal tek samam shagba maya sange ka te ta kachi chiglab da kefta stagta te ta kanab sho yalala jamar karpa nam thar top jim ji kaya te saman ta jam karpa te ta dar ji dang da mambar dab te tar malim shog naman tham chadada jarwa tak janam kollam ji kaya mabshin ji tin durma nam shang chabaram baram thajam korlom kor nyangan di parap ta jam thar to nam gombo kanji trong da dam chao kandam nirvi zum chula to nam da kan ni go ye thak pa to da da Kanda yondanam shulpa to namadang Kanda chapa shamba taqato Kanim givim sunam top taqatam Chakpa me parakirpa yashitub Sheraba tab tam zana top taqakib Shanchaba to namayang taqataparabshid Lichi to namayong sa taqpshid jam Nyumo to namangandam jambarabshid Dache to namato milarabshid jam Zambo shulpa to nam zaqparabja Janama jamzo number taqpshid jam Simchina jamzo taqana number durum Chunama jamzo raptam tongshid jam Yashi jamzo rapta toparabshid Chopa jamzo number taqpshid jam Mulama jamzo yonsa zoparabshid Sarji jamzo raptam chupshid jam Majo chaparabja Kaya disam shapa jaraba yab shanchib shurba molam shitana mam zambo shurpim shanchib sardine tekanam dagge malim zoprabja jaraba kanji tije thawpa kanga man kandab zamjib sham khiba de tam somprabja pshir gewan da tag tham chadaraf tavngo litang ta yirjanam da jam shurba nam da janam yon tagpa Moab zambum kipam chimdawa, temder the jant tam son perisho. Kanegi wab zombo jelbub shirim jam holajina molamam jerbubja, Mawam karpak and the machover, Dave shawa malim zoperja. Shurpatagna sayu the makerji, Yundanam jans of zome perisho. Chirpat and Milipalam in nature, Tetagam Charpatam Jalam Salavarabja, Namkim Tartu Chirpa Chatsambara, Simchana Malim Tayan, Devjanande, Chatsamale Tam, your mom, Tacharapa, Daka, Molam Tayan, that's Kayam Shokji Janam Tai, Parin Chinadian Big Jalavanam Lada, Mayev Devan Chonam Janga, the near Karparam Karavavi, Kangim over Jelpun, the two names, Shanchavam Choka, Jizura Motion, Nanchikamayam Tarpa Jelpana, so Namatambam Chotam Dam Gerero, 刚给上是了木了们的代笔，得能俺送他们吃了帮我人家得那找不俺白的帮我人，能玩太得样得你人通，得做人家了得为人错，没见得样得得个那个白哦，跟得上不得样真在为得得让不人么头得不是那么劲，参米的我不得个地板那么刚个么喜欢给皮白得，得上不是板的觉得难，米的么你用手想为人家，一些当那这当成那么大，这当看到那么大的不人家，的当么的么不的么他不记得那什么跟那吃的不人家，想起不想黄中的的米人肉，送你心只能盘是的点点的，想起不上的可落了的可热的那么的当几把他们吃的的。刚阳上不是不莫那么的，墙外等那蹲他们老那样，得能不能门把上今天能想起们吃了送你嘛皮的鸡，咱们喝了话我只得人听不到，跟得上不得样，对不是能的。得大概跟姐姐什得个老实人，给问得得个他们吃得了得我，第什么是个不点了他们吃的鸡，我刚来吃的我不得，得个给我三万得个能讲，让不就是了得我了就。得个南吃面的是了吃白那，这白他们吃的得个南什么了的，我什么能玩太阴点头呢？得话讲解上得了得着。ter soni na mulla man da ta jam tham chile malim ngon tam ger varasho te ta malim da ki osab kam jiten chit da sim chan pham bravjo jalwa chelam korav sang ja ga va tir pa mo tam ba khan tam zilir One samantha, long tan bayam ducky, ter tobisho, ter nab ducky, long tan up to venim, to the pama of she wam chok jay, loye to jeep shok chen am saya, Simpson and amla pamba mamboja, Zambo shirba mulam dombaya, give a chons of the kim chop sapa, then am drove a mulam gave an amakachi chicken, tamchalam jervasho. Kayam zambo shirban den beam, so namam tai tam back on toti, do I them galam chever of shawanam, or the wagam in the bunny rabbit operation. Molam gelapun the tagan chocker, so time do I can not time she can dab zambo jambu jean travesti, Manson in Namamale, stone Samamni Shanavatam, Chunila Mangira, them Burshan Lavada, Gimdana Mabshalam, the Burshan Lavaji, Chataramo, Modam and Depression. Tanayata Panzanandrea, Awa Budana, so high. By me, the tree, Durjit and Jum Japan, Niravam Burkaramonto, Lontaripa, what chief shim, Jimmy Lepanzo, Javla, Saravan, the Tiger Gomba, Shanavanian Ledge, Twin the Chitan, deeper of Shinjilo, Sorta, yet on Dolmi, Ransan and Garmilet, and Jaburukim, Zipam, Jova, Sasama Jarava, Jamsum Chin. Jigela Shinchin Bubba, she passed the militants of Homanyam Tagam Takapayash. Now I'm choked of Jams of Shal Hamo, Jibaniam Dereth, don't keep Jibs and Malam Soravan, Katsim and Jeredurji, she served and Chanim Zarbi, Shokim Kordo, Kevinim, Jelan Chalayan, Tamsir Samai, Stammed up and there on the Jonjeri Jani, Yadava, Tisketazamo, Tom Tadana Tamjon, Jamsu Nim Tirtub, Yomin Laksama Dimburim, Dotanam Japa Games. Barajaraji Lapa Samadan Garmin Zambayam Depa Soji Name the Yunga Jan Tata Shalajim Shavi Talam Divar Taptanam Shamtar Jeep Trashi
尊敬的上师，各位堪布堪姆法师道友，大家晚上好。缘何故有？生命的长河里有人的悲欢离合，佛法的海洋里